children yearn for the minds. We yearn for footnotes. Hi, this is Two Girls, One Plot.
Your host today is Xenia, a Potterhead, a Harry Potter expert, someone who thinks, how did that happen? And actually looks for the answer.
And Nicola, who is a Harry Potter fan and a literature expert / enthusiast / analytics / I just like reading and thinking about it. And that's what she does the best.
Oh, thank you. You know, it's funny you bring that up. So, you know, my book club. Yes, listeners, I have other people I read books with.
Oh.
So we decided to read Yesteryear, and I don't recommend the book, but I did read it all in one day, but it wasn't good, and not in the fun way that Twilight isn't good. It wasn't good in other ways where if you think about it too hard or even just a little bit, it kind of all falls apart. But what was hilarious is we all started reading it around the same time, and me and the other member finished really quickly. And our last member is done 80% of the book and then got called away on a work trip.
Oh, no.
So we're just waiting. And I'm like, can I spoil this? And she's like, no, I haven't finished.
This is the worst feeling.
So Xenia, what have you been reading?
Oh, so I have recently finished another memoir. As our sharp-eared listeners will know, I am going through many works in the genre of memoir. So I have finished a memoir by Gary Steingart called Little Failure. Gary Steingart is a Soviet Jewish immigrant from the 80s Soviet Union to New York, USA. And he talks about him growing up first for a little while. I think he was 6 years old when they moved from the Leningrad, which is St. Petersburg now, which is my hometown, to New York, actually.
New York?
New York, yeah. Actually, Queens, more like Queens. And this memoir explores his growing up between the two cultures and as a kid in a very harsh world of the American 80s. Wasn't good. The memoir was good. The growing up wasn't good. That's what I mean. And actually, it was super wild to read or to listen to Mr. Steingart describing the same places where I grew up in St. Petersburg, because apparently we are from the same relative area in the city. So him describing the same church that I was baptized in, but when he was growing up, when he was a kid, it wasn't a church yet because Soviet Union doesn't need a religion. So it was an aviation museum. And yeah, when I was 3 years old, it was already a church again. So that was super wild.
And that's where the priest tried to drown you. Oh, I'm sorry, baptized you in water.
Yes, and got me drunk.
Yeah.
Russian baptism, you get dunked into ice cold water and then you get wine. A lot of it.
Nice. I see why orthodoxy has had a resurgence. You know, a cold plunge, very in vogue. Some
it is healthy for you.
Medicinal wine,
yeah. Medicinal wine? What are you talking about?
Oh, there was this fake...
communion wine?
There was this fake study. Well, not fake, but poorly done a long time ago that was red wine is healthy for you. It's not. But for a long time, people were like, red wine is good for your heart.
Maybe for your soul in big quantities and large quantities. Maybe. I don't know. So what have you been reading lately?
So I already mentioned I read Yesteryear, the debut novel, and you could tell it was a debut novel. So the idea of it is very good and very engaging. It's what if a trad wife gets actually sent back to the 1800s and has to walk the walk? And there's a good novel in there, but it needed like some more work.
Isn't there going to be a movie based on that with Anne Hathaway or something like that?
Yeah, there is. And the movie was like auctioned, like the rights to it were auctioned off before the book was even published. And like Anne Hathaway is credited in the acknowledgments as helping like shape the character, the main character that she's going to play. So
is this like a self-insert?
No, I don't think so. But there's just like certain moments in the book when the main character's name is Natalie. You could really tell that the author was thinking of certain Anne Hathaway performances. Like there were certain scenes where I'm like, oh, I've seen Anne Hathaway do that. So the book was interesting, but it lacked details. Like the main character is from this vaguely conservative Christian religion, but it's never really mentioned what it is. And it doesn't necessarily have a nuanced portrayal of like the belief in God.
Mm-hmm.
And for a book that's about trad wives, it actually doesn't spend a lot of time like thinking about influencing and being a trad wife, like what that actually is. So the author is like a podcast host. So, you know, colleague of ours. Yeah, a peer. Her with her wildly successful podcast and ours with our wildly successful in the Czech Republic podcast.
Czech Republic.
We feel you. We feel you. So like she does understand how the internet works, but she doesn't really seem to understand how like actual that sort of like lifestyle influencing would work. So there are just these like moments where you could see that she hadn't really put enough thought into it, or like she speaks a lot about like, well, the author puts us in the head of a woman who is officially a conservative woman. I don't think the author has really thought about what conservatism is when you're part of like a group that's not completely benefiting from the status quo. Like she's there, she's like 70% there, but she's missing like the finer details that would make it seem real. And I guess that would be my review for the whole book, as I said in the beginning. Like there's something there, but it just needed maybe a couple more rewrites, maybe a stricter editor, or maybe some more. Frankly, if this had been the author's second or third book, I think it would have been a lot better. But it is like a great idea, and I have to give her credit for that. Like, hey, I got the book, I read it. And it is engaging to read. I did finish it in like a day. So it is, I wouldn't say well-written per se, because a book can be engaging without being well-written. Like I read Midnight Sun in like a day.
Yeah.
And while that is Stephanie's better work, Stephanie is not a great writer.
So Stephanie's better work is still subpar.
It's good. For the character and for the work and for the world, it's good. I think she's actually improved as a writer, but if you want like actually good writing, that's not...
Just don't go to Stephanie, I guess.
Like that's not her strength. Her strength is this world she's created.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and same with the author of Yesteryear. Her strength is this idea that she was able to create a compelling story about. I wouldn't necessarily say it's good, but it was compelling. I don't think it tries to touch on like what's happening in the United States with like division and figures who run for office for not good reasons and that sort of thing. And
which is most of them.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a Donald Trump. Let me rephrase it. One of the characters in the book is like if Donald Trump and George Bush were one person.
Okay.
George Bush, the younger, not the older.
Okay.
It's not the strongest part of the book. Like when it tries to become real about like politics as it happens, I don't think, again, that the author really understands conservatism enough to write about it.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. But for some reason, when you were talking about this book, it reminds me of the book, just makes me think of the book that I have acquired yesterday. Our listeners probably don't know that. I have not mentioned that. I like rescuing books. So I find them at thrift stores or at the little free libraries. And at the Value Village yesterday, I found a book called Educated. That's another memoir. From what I read on the blurb on the back. It's by a woman who grew up in a family of survivalists away from civilization and was denied access to education. And at 17 years old, she made a journey and decided to live her own life and get access to education. I don't know any further than that, but for some reason, what you said makes me think of that.
I mean, trad wife is essentially pretending to be a homesteader, and homesteading is a form of survivalism.
Yeah.
Yeah, living away from the world. So, yeah.
Cosplaying.
I'll be interested to see what the adaptation's going to be like. Apparently, it's going to be done by Amazon, which, you know, a guy in my book club brought up a really good point. I don't know if you know this, but Amazon recently, like, acquired the rights to and then has decided not to put on their platform, Amazon Prime, a biographical film about Sam Altman, the OpenAI guy, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And the film was critical, which I think it has very much a right to be. And then Amazon decided they're not going to play it after they've already bought it. So the decision is largely seen as political and that they don't want to upset possibly a future business relationship or a probably current business relationship. But then on the other hand, they're adapting this book, which is very critical of like conservatism as a movement, even though it doesn't understand it. And I think that that's probably why, actually, now that I'm speaking out loud, because conservatism is like a boogeyman in this film, in this book, like it's not really well articulated. I think it'd actually be a really great movie villain. Do you remember Top Gun?
Yeah.
The sequel, not the one from the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they were like afraid to say who the enemy was.
Oh, like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they're just like, oh, other state, our enemy, and they wouldn't like name names.
Kind of brings you back to the 1984.
Yeah. So I think something like that's going to happen where it'll be like, oh yeah, vague villain. Yeah, we'll see.
It's the Russians.
It's the tradwives in general.
Oh no, it's the conservatives.
So we are reading today The Sorting Hat. This
Bam.
is chapter 7 in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Don't get it wrong.
So this is a relatively short chapter, 13 pages, at least in my version. I'm going to do a synopsis if you're up for it.
Absolutely.
So we open up to Harry at Hogwarts, finally. Professor McGonagall takes all the first years from Hagrid and explains to them about the 4 houses in Hogwarts and how the house system will work for them. After that, they are brought to the Great Hall, but before they enter, they're told that they're going to be sorted. Oh no, how are they going to be sorted? Everyone is very nervous, even people who've grown up in the Wizarding World, so one wonders, why don't they know this?
Exactly.
Then they're brought into the Great Hall, and it is amazing. There's these huge tables, lights everywhere. It's a great time. We get to see the Sorting Hat, the hat we've all been waiting for. And it is old, frayed, dirty, patched. And Harry wonders, am I going to have to pull a rabbit out of it?
That made me laugh.
Then the hat starts singing. And we find out it's a magical hat. And it explains some of the attributes of different houses. And that in order to be sorted into the house, that all the first years just have to put that hat on their head. This process then begins, and most of the characters who are sorted that are named are going to be general background characters for the next 7 books, with the exception of a couple who are a bit more important. And I think one maybe, who I'll have to check this during our reread, is like never mentioned again.
Yep.
So finally, Hermione is the first one of the main characters to be sorted. And Hermione gets put into Gryffindor, something that she wanted. And Ron is miffed about this because he knows he's going to be in Gryffindor. Malfoy, also arguably a main character, is immediately sorted into Slytherin, a scene which is very good and very well done in the movie. And then Harry is going to be sorted. And people are shocked. Is that the Harry Potter?
The one and the only.
And we get to have a little bit of a vision of how the hat sorts, where you put it over your head and you actually can't see. I didn't think about this. It covers your eyes. And the hat can look into your brain. Just your brain? That's what this podcast is for, answering questions like that. And it sorts Harry, after some back and forth, into Gryffindor! This makes the crowd go wild. Finally, Ron is sorted also into Gryffindor. And then the headmaster makes an announcement. The announcement is a few words, and I think that that is a great first introduction.
It is a great few words.
Mm-hmm. Then the feast emerges, seemingly out of nowhere, but we know the house elves made it. And then everybody gets to talking. They talk about nearly headless Nick, who doesn't like being called that. They also talk to him. They talk about the different ways that they learned they were magic if they didn't know beforehand, or if they were uncertain they were magic beforehand. They talk about the different subjects they're going to be taking. And they talk about teachers at the high table. Some of these teachers will be very important, and one of them is sporting a brand new look.
Wow, stylish.
Now Dumbledore gives his longer announcements, all of which are going to be relevant to the plot going forward. Then they end the feast by singing the Hogwarts song, something I really hope they include in the TV show because they did not include it in the film, and it's pretty great.
They did not include it in the first film, but they did it in the fourth film.
Isn't it in like the deleted scenes?
I don't think so.
Well, there's that.
I vividly remember it.
I remember there's Ron, Harry, and Hermione are walking and they're singing the Hogwarts song, but they're like not in the building.
No. Fourth film, when the Bow Button and Durmstrang processions arrive, this is how Dumbledore decides to greet them.
No.
Yes.
No, this doesn't happen.
This happens.
This does not happen.
This happens.
Okay, before we decide whether or not this happens, I'm going to finish our synopsis.
Yes.
So after the song, they all go to their house common rooms. So dormitories. They're dormitories that are attached to the common rooms.
That were our cats.
They do not like each other. It has been 5, almost 6 years, and they still don't like each other. The Gryffindor common room is behind a portrait of the fat lady. And we also get a brief interlude where Peeves comes to visit.
A character that they completely excluded from the films and that will be included in the HBO new series. Yay, because he's been cast.
Lovely. Then they go to their dormitories, and lucky Harry, he happens to be with Ron. All great. And then falls immediately asleep and has a very interesting dream that will be the subject of some analysis later in this podcast. And that is the end of our chapter.
So you want to check now?
Yeah, because I distinctly remember.
I'm going to go grab my phone.
Yes. I knew it was a
I remember it.
You may have watched the deleted scene, but okay.
And you know this is the fourth movie because the hair.
Yeah. Anyway, so Xenia's showing me this deleted scene on the phone. Anyway, I was right. It's not in the fourth movie. It's in a deleted scene.
Extended version.
Okay. I'm theatrical cut. Okay. I'm the casual fan.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So there is something that I would like to talk about soon on. So we are introduced to the house system. Now, did you know about the house system before Harry Potter?
I had no idea what a house system is. Nobody in Russia has that. No Russian school has that. We have exceedingly few Russian private schools to have anything resembling a British schooling system. So, yeah, no idea. That was a little wild to me. But also, I remember when I was a kid, it didn't really, I didn't really question. I was like, okay, this is their system, whatever.
I legitimately thought that this was a Hogwarts only thing. I'm like, in magic schools, they have this. I then found out it's very common in English and other schools within the Commonwealth. My mom actually went to a school with houses.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Ilvermorny, the American school, also has houses. So maybe it is a wizarding school tradition all over the places. But I can't imagine that really.
Well, we don't know a lot about most of the wizarding schools. So apparently it was introduced to foster like a sense of community because kids would be away at boarding school and that your house is your family is there to support you. So it's interesting. Although the thing that like as an adult the thing that like lets me know I'm an adult is when McGonagall says to win the House Cup is a huge honor. I'm just like, so what's the prize that comes with the House Cup? I'm like,
The cup?
Yeah. It's just playing for bragging rights, you know?
Right.
Yeah. which is wild considering how much everybody buys into it. But I guess like they are kids, and that makes sense. It does. I don't know if, because in the books, I distinctly remember like in the later years, Harry cares a lot less about house points, with the exception of like, well, no, he just cares less about house points, but he has other stuff going on.
He has a little stuff going on, but other students care about house points, and he gets a lot of backlash for what he does to his house points.
I mean, that happens throughout all of the books.
Yes, all of the books.
But like, I don't know. Maybe it's because like things are getting darker in the 6th book that people are just like, well, House Cup. Like, who wins the House Cup in the 6th book?
Is there a House Cup in the 6th book?
I don't know. Is it like canceled because Dumbledore died?
Well, everything's canceled because Dumbledore died.
Yeah. Who won in the...
Spoiler alert!
Yeah.
Dumbledore dies.
Spoiler alert. And so, but like, who won in the 5th year?
Don't ask me. I don't remember.
And who won in the 4th year? They didn't do it right because of the Triwizard Tournament.
Think so.
Who won in the 3rd year?
I don't remember.
Who won in the 2nd year?
I think Gryffindor.
Okay. Because the only reason I remember who won in the 1st year is because it's like a very big moment at the end.
It's a big moment, yes.
Yeah. But past that, like, I cannot tell you who won in any of the years. I'm curious if it's actually in the books. We'll find out.
Yeah. Because, you know, even a Potterhead like me, off the top of my head, I cannot remember things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember many a thing, but apparently not this.
So then we go into like the sorting ceremony, and it is funny how many people who grew up and was in the Wizarding world don't seem to know what the sorting ceremony is. Like, here's this line. He looked around anxiously and saw that everyone else looked terrified too. That's him describing, you know, when he's nervous about the sorting ceremony. So is it a big secret that all the wizards keep from children?
There is a theory flying around that actually there is a Fidelius charm put on the knowledge of the sorting ceremony, and taking into consideration that the sorting hat is a very powerful artifact that has been crafted by the 4 founders of Hogwarts. Mm-hmm. So it is mighty powerful. It has its own sentience. How powerful it is, I think it is underestimated, because it has intelligence, it is sentient, it can look into your mind. Mm-hmm. And it also does not only do that, it interacts with you. It's not just a scanner. Mm-hmm. Just like it's not like you get a blood analysis, like a biochemistry from a lab. It's like you have this, and that, you go there. It actually interacts with you, and it takes into consideration your feedback, which is very interesting. So it is a mighty powerful artifact. I'm going to return to that later. I think the only other artifact, maybe 2 artifacts that are on par with that, are the one of them we will encounter later in this book.
Oh my God, is it like the Philosopher's Stone or something?
No. This is the Mirror of Erised.
Oh, okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a super powerful artifact. And the Marauders map, which I have no idea how 4 school children could make that. This is insane.
How does magic work? We're not really sure.
This is insane, yeah. But there is a theory flying around that there is a Fidelius charm on the sorting ceremony, the process of it itself, so that whoever went through it cannot tell anybody who has not gone through it about it.
That would make sense, and that is a theory I accept.
So it's not that Fred was joking, it's that I accept that he was joking. That's quite in the character. But maybe nobody just physically can tell their kids, because you would think that Malfoy's parents would tell him, because they seem to tell him everything. Mm-hmm. In the later books, we see they tell him all the backstory of Sirius Black and his perceived betrayal. He knows much more than anybody else. So, like, his parents do provide him with a lot of information, but not that.
I'm going to say I think this is a rare example of good parenting from the Malfoys. Like, he's going... Okay, so it's not just Sirius Black. Like, with everything they tell him what's happening. And I don't really understand how hiding a lot of the things from the students really improves it. Like, the Triwizard Tournament was hidden. You know, big thing happening at Hogwarts this year. Can't tell you. Why not? Like,
just to make it a surprise, you know?
Or like, even just like small details of like the different wizarding schools. Apparently Malfoy knows all about them. Like, is there, I don't know. I just think that this is what's wrong with telling your kid more information in what becomes at least a very dangerous world.
I guess, yeah, when you're informed, you're prepared.
And also, they probably knew enough to say, yeah, Sirius Black, not actually a Death Eater. Don't worry, you're going to have a fine year.
I guess, yeah. But did they say that, actually?
I guess, like, so either way it works out for them. If he isn't a Death Eater, then Draco Malfoy is not in danger. And if he is a Death Eater, Draco Malfoy still isn't in danger.
Right?
Yeah.
Actually, his mom could be like, you know, that's my cousin.
Exactly.
I like how there's this scene where the ghosts arrive. There's quite a few ghosts apparently at Hogwarts, which it's very interesting in terms of if we take into consideration the canonical paranormal activity, whatever's going on with the ghosts, for whoever believes in the ghosts, that they are kind of tied to a place or an unfinished business or whatnot. But apparently just many of them just chose to come to Hogwarts. And there's a friar ghost. There's a fat friar, a clergy ghost. So apparently witchcraft and wizardry does not interfere with the religion at all.
Maybe there was a time where they were one and the same.
Wow. I do love that thought.
So before we leave the ghosts, I want to say it's mentioned here, like there's like 20 or so ghosts that Harry sees, but I'm going to tell you all the ghosts whose name I know. The Fat Friar, the Bloody Baron, the Grey Lady, and Nearly Headless Nick. There might be a few more at Nick's name day party or death day party.
Yeah.
But I think it was also mentioned that the ghosts like came for that party.
Yes, from outside Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Yes. The Minalima edition, I'm going to be bringing it up a lot. In the Minalima edition, we have those ghosts illustrated here. And there is a ghost of a dog here. There's Moaning Myrtle there too. She's
Moaning
right there.
Myrtle, we forgot about her.
Everybody forgets about Myrtle.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, those ghosts are. I also don't know what qualifies. I don't know what qualifies them to become a house ghost.
I'm not sure either. Maybe they just like opt into it. I think it gives them something to do in their afterlife.
Are they really doing anything?
No, they're just chatting with students and whatnot. And they're hanging out with each other. I remember in the 5th book when they explain how and why people become ghosts, I was like devastated afterwards, but I refused to read those chapters because they make me feel really sad that Sirius is dead.
Yep.
Anyway, that'll be in a while for our reread, but it's there.
But it still hurts. It hurts always.
Yeah. So we are introduced to like the 4 houses, and from a position of like selling products to fans of IP, the houses are genius.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because you don't just make one type of scarf, you make 4 types of scarves.
And then a general one for Hogwarts in general.
And the super fans buy them all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is like, that's just how
I say as I'm looking at the Hufflepuff banner right there.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how like capitalism, when it is like a IP or a fandom or even like an art form, is.
Capitalism.
But like, think about it. Taylor Swift's last album, she released so many different versions of her album, all with like different covers and little journal entries and things like that. And it's all just to sell more of it. So I'm curious though, when you were growing up, did you like any other house besides Gryffindor?
I believe so. I did like Ravenclaw, even though it has like the least action of all the houses. There's like, they do nothing. They're just trying their darn hardest to learn. It's like, and it's not going in their favor at all.
Yeah, I can think of only like a few not Huffle. I even called them Hufflepuffs instead of Ravenclaw. That's
Right.
how like little impact they have. There's Luna Lovegood, Cho Chang.
Cho Chang's friend Marietta Edgecombe.
There's the guy that Fleur took to the Yule Ball, Roger Davies, Roger something. A Ravenclaw guy that Fleur takes to the ball.
Yes.
I remember that.
Because he's the Quidditch team captain.
And then I think Zachariah Smith, who might be in this chapter as well. Yeah, so Terry Boot comes to the meeting at the Hog's Head.
Yes, he was there.
Yeah, and that's the only Ravenclaw we see here. And I think Zachariah Smith is also a Ravenclaw. Or he might be a Hufflepuff. If only we had, like, a device that...
There is a handwritten by J.K. list of all the first years. Well, it's kind of a draft because it's been, like, written over, scribbled over and all that because she was trying different last names. She was trying different sortings and all that. So there are a few original last names for some of the main characters on that list, like Draco Malfoy was originally Spinks. Spinks.
Okay, well, this was before Spanx, so
this
I
was
forgive
before
her.
Spanx, so Spinks. I think Hermione's last name was also different, or it was a different character in general. But it exists out there. This list, you can find it on the World Wide Web. People assume it's about 40 people in the first year of that year.
So the little black box that holds all the information in the world told me Zachariah Smith was actually a Hufflepuff.
Nice.
So we have Terry Boot, Cho Chang, Luna Lovegood, and the guy Fleur took to the ball.
Penelope Clearwater, Percy's girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, and Cho Chang's friend.
Marietta Edgecombe.
Yeah. So not that many. Luna and Cho have the biggest impact per se. And I would say Luna ends up being much higher in terms of the plot.
Yep.
And something that's interesting is, so when I was a kid, even though I was like well known to be a smart kid and like everything about me should say that I'm Ravenclaw. And as you know, we did our sorting and Ravenclaw now is an adult.
Ravenclaw.
So what's interesting is like all the Ravenclaws, I associated Ravenclaws with like know-it-alls, which is wild because like I love Hermione. I've always loved Hermione and she's called know-it-all, but I'm like, no, Hermione's different. But I'm just like,
she's not like other girls.
She's not like the other girls. But I was just like, Ravenclaw, like whatever, they're smart, I guess. And I think it's interesting. So the Sorting Hat talks briefly about the different characteristics that make up the houses. And this is like the most we get as to why you're put in different houses. This one and I think the fourth book. And then perhaps also the conversation the Hat has with Harry in his head.
Yep.
And there's been like a move, I'm thinking specifically like of Divergent in like the YA era.
I kind of wanted to bring that up too. It feels like the Divergent factions, which again, this is like because I know there's a lot of people in the fan base out there throwing stones at Hufflepuff because it's the rest. That's the Divergence.
Anyway, so listeners, what I was going to say is that there was like two notable works in the YA boom after Harry Potter, which use this sort of system where they have like different groups of people. One of them does it well and one of them does it poorly. The one that does it well is the Hunger Games, I would say, where you're put into different districts and the districts are based on what economic product or commodity they produce for the capital. And Divergent has people divided up more like, oh, you don't like fighting? You're going to be in this one. You're a smart one. You're going to be in that one. You do like fighting? You're going to be in this one.
Veronica Roth. I can't.
And so I think in terms of like vague vibes that define a system, Divergent is actually more like the Hogwarts houses.
Yes,
but
I agree.
Because the Hogwarts houses are just like things to keep kids occupied with, a way to organize them and not like how you determine society. I think it's like fine that it's vibes only.
But when I'm thinking about the Hogwarts house system, if we take into consideration what the head says, and if we just like go blindly by what the head says, like the Gryffindor is like the Braves. So we're assuming that Godric Gryffindor was like, oh, I only want people who showcase rare bravery. Great. And then the Ravenclaw's like, I only want the ones who's smart. Is it really a good idea to put a bunch of kids who are exhibiting a lot of the same quality together? I don't think so. I don't think it's a really good idea because, as McGonagall said, this is going to be your family for the next foreseeable 7 years. You're going to spend more time with them than with your actual family. Mm-hmm. So is it really a good idea? Because it's like resonance. They're going to amplify each other. And we see a lot of that, actually. This is how the groups form. This is how the Death Eaters form. This is how the Knights of Valpurgis form, the OG Death Eaters, right?
I totally know what that is, and I'm not just a fan. Anyway, so I think there's value to that. But I think also the houses, because they're divided up by these qualities, especially later in the books, we get to see the nuance within them.
So this is what I want more of, nuance, because I feel like behind those like labels of the houses, the nuance gets lost.
Yeah, it does.
Especially in the earlier books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the earlier books are fairly simple. I've talked about before, I think J.K. Rowling is a gardener, maybe not intentionally, but she became it. So she has this system based off of a British system, and she gives it her own little magical spin. And she's able later to develop it into something like interesting that explores different aspects of human nature.
What I want to ask about the Sorting Hats song, because as you, our listeners, might know, my fancy co-host here has the Audible,
the full cast
edition. Yes. So I want to ask: is it sung in the Audible edition?
It is not.
It is not.
It is spoken word poetry.
And what about the Hogwarts hymn?
Oh, that's actually done really well, where they have like lots of different voices actually singing at different like tunes and like speeds.
Well, that makes me a little bit better, but I would really like the hat to actually sing.
The only downside to that is that it was really hard to actually tell what the song was saying.
Well, I feel like it's supposed to do exactly that, because you kind of get the idea. But a little bit more about the song is just the Sorting Hat must be like it's sentient, yes, but also it's very witty, because the amount of the puns that's in there. It's wow. And also the last line of the song, I'm thinking, so the Sorting Hat calls itself a thinking cap, which again is another expression, right? But also it is in capitals.
It's like a name.
Yeah, so it's a proper name, right? So is it like a magical species of hats?
Okay, so for our listeners, I'm going to explain this because this conversation won't make sense without. In the book, when you read the song, at the very end, there's a line for "I'm a thinking cap." And throughout the song, general grammar rules have been respected. Yet at the end, the words thinking and cap are capitalized, even though they're at the end of the sentence, which implies they are, well, it doesn't imply, it means it's a noun of some sort.
Yeah.
So
like a proper noun.
Yeah. So it's not a place, but it might be a thing, and it's not a person. So
yep. So
this is a thing.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that this must be oh wow, I became Russian again. This must be some kind of an established wizarding thing. Maybe Sorting Hat is from a species of thinking caps.
It would be nice, like, imagine you're trying to do, like, a Secret Santa, and instead of, like, having to create a system to determine who gets who, everybody puts on the hat, and the hat determines who you should get.
why not? That could be another subspecies like the sorting hat. But that's just something interesting that I noted, and it's so fun. And every year, apparently, this hat comes up with a new song, and it spans the whole year to do that.
I am kind of sad we only get to see 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I want to just briefly talk. So the different houses are described in ways that I think actually amplify Hufflepuff. So Gryffindor is where people who are brave at heart dwell, and they have daring, nerve, and chivalry. So daring and nerve are like associated with brave. It's like being brave and bold. And then chivalry, I'm pretty sure here the author meant like the modern idea of chivalry, which is like acting properly, essentially having manners, not chivalric ideals from the medieval ages, which...
Who knows? This hat is 10 centuries old.
How it's... if people in Gryffindor have the chivalric ideals from the Middle Ages, they are all collectively agreeing not to engage with them. Then I'm going to skip Hufflepuff. I'm going to save that for last. Then you have Ravenclaw. Ravenclaw is ready mind, those of wit and learning. So all words for versions of smart. You know, maybe different types of smart, but all smart. And then in Slytherin, you'll be cunning and ambitious, and you'll make real friends. First of all, I think the real friends line is a bit sus, because like in a room full of cunning and ambitious people, friendship maybe takes a back seat because they're using anything to achieve their ends.
I guess.
But then you have, so like these are largely one trait with several sub-traits. But then we go to Hufflepuff, where they are just and loyal, patient and true, and unafraid of toil. That's a lot of different things.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they have 5 different traits associated with them.
So divergence.
I think, though, this is a better way of looking at it than like... Okay, so as our listeners may know, my main book love is A Song of Ice and Fire. And when they describe Hufflepuff, I see Ned Stark. Just and loyal, true and unafraid of toil.
I see Dunk.
Dunk as well. So it's like traits that are generally associated with like good people and doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I don't think that they're necessarily disparate traits, but like all just about a general sense of goodness and, you know, as I said, doing the right thing, which begs the question. Harry's defining characteristic in these chapters so far has been that he is a good boy. He's a good person. The hat didn't consider Hufflepuff for him? Not seriously?
Well, that's where the interactivity of the hat comes in.
I guess, but it's interesting. The hat actually like pushes Slytherin forward, yet the only thing we've seen of Harry that would imply he should be in Slytherin is that when his cousin got a pigtail, he wasn't upset. The cousin who's been horribly bullying him for years.
I think this is another kind of like misconception about Slytherins, because there's nothing wrong about being ambitious.
There isn't, but does Harry have any ambition?
So what the hat says that he has a desire to prove himself, and he does that. He does have that. That I do not doubt that, because he's arriving to Hogwarts as a boy who doesn't know shit. Mm-hmm. And he desperately wants to belong. Mm-hmm. So I can see where that comes from. Mm-hmm. And generally in being cunning and wanting to achieve something and being someone, it's not inherently a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is why I asked the question that I asked before. Is it a good idea to put a bunch of people with the same or similar traits together because of how they amplify each other?
I suppose I'm taking an unnuanced view of Slytherin.
Because we are introduced later, much later on, we are introduced to a softer version of a very worthy Slytherin, Professor Slughorn, who is a Slytherin. He was a head of the Slytherin house. Mm-hmm. He unknowingly, yes, tipped off Voldemort. Knowingly, maybe.
Okay, he didn't know he was Voldemort at the time.
Yeah, he didn't know that
Yeah.
for sure. But like, also he didn't like really answer his question like directly. But yes, he was cunning and ambitious. He just wanted to be connected. He was doing networking. What is wrong with networking? There's nothing wrong with networking. He was providing patronage
Yes, he was. But I'm going to bring this back. I'm going to circle back corporate
to his
speak.
students.
Oh,
and
my
then,
goodness.
And then he was collecting back the fruits.
Yeah, patronage.
Yeah.
That's patronage.
Yes, exactly.
You don't have to explain patronage to me.
That's what is wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that.
Okay, anyway, what I was trying to get at here is that like Harry's ambition to prove himself, to do the right thing, are like inherently linked. He wants to be good. He is good.
Yes.
And he never wavers from that goodness. He's like, I can't remember any time in the books where Harry like goes under a temptation. Do you know what I mean? He very quickly gives up that very powerful wand at the end.
Yes, but also
So, like, I'm not denying he has a certain amount of every trait of the house. I think everybody has a little bit of all the houses in them. But my idea is that I think that Harry has a lot more Hufflepuff in him than we like to think about because he's so associated with Gryffindor.
true. I am not arguing with that. I'm just thinking about all the instances when Harry was. Well, you said that he's not tempted by things. By many things, he's not. By many things, he is.
Like when he wanted to buy the solid gold cauldron.
That yeah, when he wanted the drip, yes. But I'm thinking more about his emotional outbursts. I'm more thinking about the time when Bellatrix killed Sirius and he wanted to retaliate. This was a very emotional moment, of course. Yes. But he did waver in that moment.
Okay, and then when he tries to kill Snape, I would say probably again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 2 moments of wavering.
Yeah, but of course there are very traumatic events that lead to that. What really? So I want to ask you because, again, ESL, our gentle listeners, I am born and raised Russian. English is my second language. So I'm reading out. Brocklehurst Mandy went to Ravenclaw too, but Brown Lavender became the first new Gryffindor, and the table on the far left exploded with cheers. Harry could see Ron's twin brothers catcalling. And I was like,
I also had this concern.
really?
Like, they're like, what, 13
Yeah.
in this book, and she's 11?
Luna, do not.
Gentle listener, a cat just jumped onto our recording station.
And now she jumped off. We can continue.
Yeah, I also, I only know the term catcalling in the sexual,
Exactly.
gross way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in the British English it means something else. Who knows?
Maybe it does. Yeah, I was a bit concerned when I read that, and I'm just like,
Yes.
gonna think about that. So, like, it's never appropriate, but at least it's not completely gross. Because, like, in my mind, the Weasley twins are always, like, way older than they are. They're, like, forever 17 in my mind, even when they're 13.
Yeah.
And so when I first read it, I'm like, nope, that is a crime. And then I was thinking about it more, and I'm like, oh, no, that's just, like, really inappropriate behavior. But then, does catcalling mean what we think it means here?
So Merriam-Webster gave the sexual connotation to it. Cambridge Dictionary says it's the act of shouting or whistling in a way that expresses disapproval, usually by people in a crowd. The action of catcalling, the action of calling out or whistling at someone in an insulting way, usually expressing unwanted sexual interest. So
Both are bad.
not good.
Yeah.
So I was like, really?
Yeah.
For real?
Are they secretly misogynist?
I don't want to think that. My favorite characters of the whole
Maybe
series.
during this reread, we'll see whether or not they secretly are.
Hermione gets sorted next. And we might be all surprised. Why not Ravenclaw? Because she was such
Clever.
a smart ass. Why not Ravenclaw? And we know from the prior chapter that Hermione said it herself that Gryffindor seems to be the best.
So this is, I would say, the most interesting section of the chapter in terms of like the things that stay with me is the conversation Harry has with the Sorting Hat, where it's the Sorting Hat is going, well, actually, let me read it out. Said a small voice in his ear. Difficult, very difficult. Plenty of courage, I see. Not a bad mind, either. There's talent, oh my goodness, yes. And a nice thirst to prove yourself. Now that's interesting. So where shall I put you? Harry gripped the edges of the stool and thought, not Slytherin, not Slytherin. Not Slytherin, eh? Said the small voice. Are you sure? You could be great, you know. It's all here in your head. And Slytherin will help you on the way to greatness. No doubt about that. No? Well, if you're sure, better be Gryffindor. So it's interesting. Plenty of courage refers to Gryffindor. Not a bad mind either refers to Ravenclaw. Now, which one of the next two refers to Slytherin and which one refers to Hufflepuff? There's talent, oh my goodness, yes. And a nice thirst to prove yourself. Now that's interesting. I don't think either of those refer to Hufflepuff.
Why not talent?
Hufflepuff is not about what you have, it's about how you do it.
Maybe that's a misconception too.
Maybe. Maybe these aren't really clear.
Because I feel like this is from the song from the fourth book. When Helga Hufflepuff says, I'll take the rest. And this is somehow in our minds make us think that this is just about some kind of outcasts when it is actually about people who are presenting more than one quality that is desirable for other houses.
Okay, I see the point you're making about divergence.
Yep.
Okay. I'm still of the opinion that according to where we are in canon, Hufflepuffs are true, hardworking, just and loyal, and patient. But I will accept...
And that is many good traits.
Yeah. I will accept your analysis of this because it makes the most sense.
Right.
So it's interesting, though, that like one of Harry's defining features is his goodness, and that's not considered here at all. So maybe it's all about how you do things. Maybe it's not.
I think it is also about what you value, because if we take into consideration sorting of Neville, does he really exhibit any kind of bravery up until a certain point in the future?
Can the hat see inside him and see that the bravery is there?
Or can the hat see that he wants to be brave? Can the hat see that Ron wants to be not worse than his brothers?
I don't know. I mean, you would know more than me. The hat itself, I mean, it tells us a lot about Harry here. Things that I think are all true. Plenty of courage. Yes, 100%. Not a bad mind either. I would say that that's true. He's no Hermione, but he's a clever boy. There's talent. Oh my goodness. Yes, he has talent. And a nice thirst to prove yourself. All of these things are accurate, but maybe I'm thinking about this too exclusively. Like these are just some of Harry's traits.
Yes.
They're not all of them.
Of course they're not. Also, there is an idea floating out there that the sorting happens according to the person's relationship with magic and how they perceive it. So the way one perceives magic and the way one has relationship with magic. So let's say Ravenclaw, they get sorted into Ravenclaw not because they're smart or conventionally smart, but because of how they see magic, and that they're going to be learning magic for the sake of learning magic. So it's just like perpetual scholars. Let's say how Luna sees magic. She's very open-minded to whatever is out there. So she has insatiable mind. It's not that she's smart, but she is. She is, no doubt. But kind of, you know what I'm saying? How Gryffindors would be using magic to fight for and protect, right? How Slytherins would be using magic to achieve.
I suppose what we're really discussing throughout all of this is, to what extent does a Hogwarts house actually affect, or what does it say about the people who are in it?
And Dumbledore himself asks that question later in the book. He is not sure that this is a good idea to be sorting that early in life.
It's also, I think because it's so intrinsically linked with the idea of Hogwarts is to have these houses.
Yes.
That I want there to be more to it, and I want to know the details of it. I want to know why. And I have to also sit back and say this is a soft magic system. Like, these details probably are not known by the characters, probably are not known necessarily by the author. And it's taking a non-magic system and applying magic to it, and there's some growing pains to that.
I guess you're right. And
those are my favorite words.
And then we get Ron sorted, and Percy says, "Well done, Ron. Excellent," to that. And with the Blaise Zabini, we are finished with the sorting. I swear, I have to say that. So, to refresh this chapter in my mind, I wanted to like skim through it again at work. If you are my coworker, I did not.
Or her boss.
Or my boss, I did not. I searched in Google specifically this chapter. I kid you not. The first link is this chapter posted on somebody's personal website. And they have self-inserted themselves in there. This is the first link. This is the first link on Google.
Oh, wow.
So after, I'm telling you, it was after Ron. I don't know if it's before or after Blaise Zabini. I feel like it's right before. Zoe Winters. They have inserted themselves there. And then later in the chapter, they give themselves a line in the conversation with Headless Nick. This was in because like I was just looking to reread the chapter, and when I just clicked on the first link and I started reading it, I'm like, and then I thought I'm tripping because there's no way there was this character in there, and then I realized that this is somebody's self-insert, and I experienced a whole spectrum of feelings, the most prominent being cringe. It was a wild ride. Other than that, the chapter was totally fine. It was all the same.
So right before we move on, I want to give a shout out to Mandy Brocklehurst, who goes to Ravenclaw, but I don't think we ever see her again.
Yeah.
I think she's this chapter only character.
Do we know it's her?
That's true. Mandy could be a man's name.
Hi, Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah. So there's a Mandy Brocklehurst. Maybe they're gender non-conforming or whatever.
Yes,
Probably
yes.
wouldn't be in this book.
Probably wouldn't.
My memory is that this character never shows up again.
Yep.
Where all the other ones are like either background or semi-important or important characters.
Yep. But also, both Crabbe and Goyle are sorted off the page. They are not mentioned by the name, only mentioned after Malfoy joins them. And this is why I cannot trust what's on page to be counting how many students went to which house, because I tried, and then I realized that this is unreliable.
I mean, there's also MacDougal Morag, or Morag MacDougal, who also never shows up again, who we don't find out what house they go to.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but that's gardening, gardening as a writing style. There's some seeds that don't grow.
Yeah. So is there just several more girls in Gryffindor that were never learn about or hear about. It's just, yeah.
I mean, you're the expert here. Is there any theories on how many kids are actually in each year or the overall population of Hogwarts?
There are theories, of course, but
Are there any like popular or more credible ones than others?
So the one that we've talked about before is that the opposite of baby boom happened. The baby
A decline in birth rates.
a decline in the wizarding birth rates happened during the First Wizarding War, but only in those who were opposed to Death Eaters and Voldemort. And so on page, actually, we can see prevailing numbers of Slytherins. And so this is one of the theories. So like we have an exact number of Gryffindor boys, which is 5. We don't have an exact number of Gryffindor girls. We only know of 3.
Oh, so it's that small. There's only like 5 boys in the year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We never learn about any more of them.
It's interesting. When I was reading the books, I just presumed that there were lots in the background that nobody talked about or talked to.
So this is what we have to go with because
I suppose so. That's because my idea of school is you have a class with like 30 people in it.
yes, this is my idea too.
And then in the films, they also show a lot of background characters.
Yes, and both in books and the films, they do have double lessons or like paired up with the different house, which usually happens when the classes are not that big.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. If it would be like 60 students per teacher, that would be
that would be a nightmare. But that doesn't happen. So there is a theory that it's just this and adjacent years that are this small in numbers. Because if every year was like that, there would be like 350 people for the whole castle max. That's including staff. Max for the whole castle.
I mean, is that off though? Like, how many wizards could there really be? You know,
apparently wizarding population of Britain is 1 million.
Yeah.
About 1 million
The
people.
population of Britain is like over, Britain or like the United Kingdom? Are we talking?
So Hogwarts services only the islands. So we were talking
the United Kingdom and Ireland.
We're talking about
Ireland has a population of like 4 million people. I'm pretty sure the UK has a population of above 40. Let me check on my box of infinite knowledge. This book takes place in 1991.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
it's great. There's even a census of that year.
Wow.
I know, it's perfect, right?
Our gentle listeners, Nicola loves statistics.
I do love statistics.
Numbers don't lie.
I mean, they can be manipulated, but I think numbers are great.
But numbers are not my hips.
That is true. So in 1991, it was approximately 57.4 million.
Okay, so it is what?
1 in 50?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which
1 in 50 to 1 in 60 people is a wizard, which I think is good because if it was like way more than that, how they keep the world separate would be like impossible.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So we're going past. We also have one other person, Sally Ann Perks. I don't think we ever see her again.
Yes.
We do?
Yeah, we don't see her ever again. And there is another theory out there that she actually dropped out of Hogwarts.
I didn't know you could do that.
Or parents pulled her out.
Okay. Is this like a fan theory? Or is there any like in-text evidence for it?
It's a fan theory because she's not ever seen again.
So as you know, Harry Potter is in a third-person narration. And I'm going to double-check that because I suddenly had the crippling anxiety that I was wrong. Yeah, third-person limited narrative perspective. So I was right. There's certain moments where I get the idea that J.K. Rowling is actually playing more with a omnipresent narrator. Or, sorry, not omniscient. Omniscient. Where, like, here's one line. He was so relieved to have been chosen and not put in Slytherin, he hardly noticed he was getting the loudest cheer yet. Which, like if you're going to write someone who hardly notices that they're getting the loudest cheer yet, they're not going to notice that. Like that's something you write if you're going to be reading this to your kid. Like it tells you about the world, but it's not something that Harry, who hardly notices it, would notice. Do you know? That sounds very roundabout, very Catch-22. But there's like another version of that right at the beginning where when they're in like a side chamber waiting for to be sorted, Professor McGonagall showed the first years into a small empty chamber off the hall. They crowded in, standing rather closer together than they would usually have done, peering about nervously. So, usually have done. Harry has never walked around with these people except to get on the boats. You know?
Yeah.
So, it's meant to convey nervousness, which is then double conveyed by the inclusion of peering around nervously. So, I don't necessarily think that this line is good writing. It's the type of description you would use if you're having an omniscient narrator who can see the world as it's happening.
Yeah.
And like it's great for kids' books because it tells them as directly as you can without saying it directly what's happening. It's also really great to read out loud to your kids. I just don't think it's consistent with the writing style chosen throughout the rest of the books. And there's been like little moments of this in every chapter where I'm like, okay, this isn't limited third person. This is a little bit omniscient in very small ways.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see that. What I wanted to show you right now in the Minalima edition is the house banners, and that Ravenclaw got the right treatment, and so they will in the new HBO series, finally getting the right banner and the right colors.
Call me an idiot, but if I remember correctly, Ravenclaw's symbol is an eagle, despite being called Ravenclaw.
Yes.
Yeah, I felt like that was made just to mess with me. So for our listeners, Xenia is showing off the Minalima edition. I still am uncertain about us including this visual medium in our audio podcast, but here we are.
But it's cool. It's so cool. Yes. I also rescued those books.
The Minalima books?
Yes.
You rescued them with money off of eBay, did you not?
No, I rescued them from Facebook Marketplace.
Okay, forgive me. Facebook Marketplace. You would never stoop so low as to eBay.
Right. No way.
Yeah, I know. You're an eBay user. I'm an eBay user. eBay's got it, you know?
Yes, I saved Bachman books from there for you.
That's true. To our listeners who, like me, know the details of eBay's business practices, we're aware that eBay's not a good company, and sometimes that's the only place to find books that are out of print.
Like Bachman books.
Exactly. So then we have Dumbledore's speech, and it's done in two bits. The first one is very fun, where he says, I have a few words to say, and then he just says a couple words, nitwit, blubber, oddment, tweak.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I really like that.
Me too. I feel like this is great few words, and also Dumbledore, like nobody else. I feel like he's a great headmaster. He understands that the students are tired and they're hungry and they just need to eat right now. So like, come on, he's a jolly guy. Love him to bits. Harry asks Percy, "Is he a bit mad?" He asked Percy uncertainly. "Mad?" said Percy airily. "He's a genius. Best wizard in the world. But he's a bit mad. Yes." So Percy, I have to hear my note in my hand. Oh, how the tables will turn.
Yeah.
So Percy is someone who follows authority without any question. Whoever he perceives to be the strongest at the moment. And also I feel like he puts too much emphasis and too much faith into titles, as we see in the end of this chapter.
I mean, we see in this chapter almost every almost every line except for this one, and when he's talking to Hermione about transfiguration, references him being a prefect.
Like, you would think he would tell the prefects.
Yeah.
Peeves doesn't listen even to us prefects.
Yeah. He likes systemic authority.
Yes.
Yeah. I will say, though, in terms of like he's doing his job. He's being kind to the first years. He's showing them around. I think that's, he's fulfilling his obligations. He's doing his job well.
He's just trusting too much in the system.
Yeah. But, he's what, 14, 15? He's 15 because 15 is when you're allowed to be a prefect. I know things.
Yeah. Wow.
So then we have the conversation with Nearly Headless Nick, or how he would prefer to be called, Sir Nicholas de Mimsy Porpington. I think it was hilarious to me both when I read it as a kid and as an adult, that immediately people go Nearly Headless Nick.
How can you be nearly headless?
And then he shows how someone tried to behead him and it didn't work.
Yep. And then he immediately goes, anyways.
I mean, credit to Nearly Headless Nick. He's going to have to show them that eventually.
Right. So what's the better occasion?
Yeah.
Than right at the feast when they're eating.
And then we see that he's really into Gryffindor winning the House Cup. Good for him. I'm sure if you're a ghost and you don't have a lot going on, that sort of thing matters.
Right.
Again, as a kid, I cared about Gryffindor winning the House Cup. As an adult, I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess.
I find it a little hard to believe that Bloody Baron is giving a damn about the House Cup, but apparently he does.
Well, I don't think we actually learn anything more about the Bloody Baron until the 7th book, right?
Yeah, we learn his backstory.
Yeah.
But also, Nearly Headless Nick never asked him how he got covered in blood. He's not communicating with him that much.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to be alive forever with somebody. You want to leave some mystery, something still to talk about.
I guess.
But I will say that's probably another example of J.K. Rowling gardening, because she creates this ghost and then gives him a backstory later that nothing contradicts explicitly.
Right.
Yeah. And why can't people who have tragic past not want kids in the house they represent to win a competition?
Well, yeah, there is nothing that speaks against that.
Yeah.
There's no rule.
But when you learn about his backstory, it feels inconsistent.
Who are you, Ghost Police?
I don't know. It's J.K. Rowling's world. I'm just reading it. This includes a line where I was made very aware that there's things that happen in England that I am not party to in Canada, where they describe puddings arriving. And English puddings are not like the puddings I know, where it's like a pudding cup. And it's kind of like a chocolatey or vanilla-y, kind of creamy, but also gelatinous-based dessert.
Yeah.
Puddings are very different. But as a kid, I was reading this and I just saw a legion of Jell-O cups.
Well, when I was growing up, this is also the pudding that I was exposed to, the one that comes in cups. The what Japanese people call pudding.
It's also, then we have a conversation about magic. Seamus tells us he's half and half and has the very amusing line that the mother didn't tell the father she was a witch until after they got married.
Which I can't imagine happening. It's a bit of a nasty shock for him, yeah.
I think Neville's description of how he found out he was magic when he was in the magical world tells us the most about how magic works in this chapter.
Yep.
Yeah.
But before we go into that, he says, the family thought I was all muggle for ages. We learn later this is called a squib. He would know that.
Yeah, I think JK does some retconning, but authors who don't have a clear plan from the beginning generally have to do that.
And then I'm kind of surprised that Ron, as a member of Wizarding Society, does not know Neville or of Longbottoms at all, because he knows of Malfoys. He's aware, well, mostly through his dad and his dad crossing with Malfoy at work. But I'm surprised that he doesn't know of Longbottoms.
So I concur with this, but only to a certain extent. I think that Ron would know of the Longbottoms. I don't think he would know Neville. And I have two reasons for thinking about this, one in text and one based on my experience of the world. The one in text is that we know that Neville's parents were brutally tortured to the point that they're in a mental health facility permanently, a wizarding mental health facility. So I can see that Arthur wouldn't want to talk about that to their like 11-year-old. I think that is a conversation you have with somebody when they're older. And also Neville here, I don't know if J.K. Rowling had the idea that this would have happened to Neville's parents already, but he doesn't talk about his parents, just his grandmother brought him up. And I think that if J.K. Rowling had the idea already that something horrible happened to Neville's parents, then it makes sense that Arthur and Molly Weasley wouldn't tell some other kids like really painful past to their 11-year-old just for fun.
That totally makes sense. But also, I feel like J.K. must have had something in mind for Neville already, because as we have discussed with you before, again, there is a theory out there that Neville was supposed to be the fourth one in the group, mirroring the Marauders' four-member group. So if that was the case and then his plotline got dropped, then J.K. must have had something for him in mind. At least some kind of like tragic backstory as well, because the way we're introduced to him is kind of all mysterious and veiled.
I think it would be really interesting for us to do a retrospective on Neville after we've read all the books.
Yeah.
Because he has what I would say is like the strongest character arc of any of the characters.
Yeah, who are not main characters, yes.
Yeah. It makes sense that J.K. Rowling thought she was going to do something with him but didn't know what yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess this is what I mean.
Yeah.
And then I can't help but think that his Uncle Algie is a freaking sociopath.
Oh, yeah. 100% holding some kid up by their ankles to see if they have magic.
Doesn't matter if they're magical or not. It's gotta traumatize a kid.
Oh, I was going to say, I have a real life reason as to why I think that Ron didn't know about Neville. So our listeners might know that I'm close with my family, and my father has a friend who's very close to him named Jake.
Oh, his boyfriend.
Yeah, so close that we called Jake his boyfriend. And I found out when I was like older, like 16 or 17, that my father was the best man at Jake's wedding. They've been friends for like 40 years. The only reason that Jake wasn't at my parents' wedding is that nobody was really at my parents' wedding. You've seen the photos. There's like 6 people there. And 2 of them came because they heard it was happening that day. And for like the first 15 years of my life, I just knew Jake as Lobster Jake, that guy we saw a couple times a year who was really good at cooking lobster.
Oh, so it was like that. Okay.
Yeah. So I think, maybe my dad didn't like pretend he wasn't friends with Jake, but he didn't explain the friendship to me. And because Jake's kids were like older than me and my brother, if we went over to Jake's house, there was no one to keep us entertained. So my understanding is that my father would hang out with his friends when we were not with him most of the time. So like there might just be like being a kid, you don't always get told everything or pick up on everything.
It kind of looks like the Weasleys are a little bit like secluded. They have the company of their own siblings. And it looks like most wizarding families' kids don't have a lot of exposure to other wizarding kids before they go to Hogwarts.
Well, isn't Hogsmeade like the only full-time year-round wizarding town?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a small town.
Yes.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem to be a very town-oriented, or like, not community isn't the right word, but it doesn't seem like a wizarding culture is one where you need to hang out with each other. But then also, I think if you're an adult, you can just apparate or flew to wherever your friend is.
Yes.
So why would you live near them?
It's not. Why won't you take your kids with you?
Sometimes
to play
you don't
with their kids.
I guess sometimes you don't want to be.
Play date.
I guess, yeah. I guess though, if you have like 9 kids, you don't need a play date. They're all there.
And so once we're past Neville's sociopathic uncle and his attempts of causing magic in Neville, which finally were successful, we see Percy and Hermione talking to each other about lessons, and Hermione hoping that they do start right away because she's so eager to learn.
I think, though, there's like a sadder undertone here where everyone's talking about their relationship to magic. And this would be a great time for Hermione to talk about how amazing it is that she found out she's a wizard and how no one in her family is wizards. But throughout the past few chapters, we've generally seen Hermione not have anyone to hang out with already. Like during the train ride, she's walking the corridors telling people to be quiet. She's talking a little bit to everybody, but she doesn't seem to have any long conversations with any particular person. And here, with all the new house, she's talking to Percy, and like that's not inherently sus. Not sus in like a creepy way, but sus in like does she have any friends way? Because Harry talked to Percy, but
Percy is also the prefect. He would know things.
But given like what we've seen of Hermione so far, I think it's a kind of a continuation of showing that like she's not being accepted by the other kids.
And then we'd see Hagrid drinking again.
Yep, mild alcoholism, Hagrid.
Yep, and we get the first look at who? Professor Snape.
So we have another reference to Quirrell and his absurd turban. Professor Quirrell now has a turban, so as readers know, now Voldemort's living on his head. And he was talking to a teacher with greasy black hair, a hooked nose, and sallow skin. And
not a very flattering description.
No, and the moment this teacher looks at him, or is it that teacher, Harry has a pain on the scar on his forehead.
Ouch, Harry says.
So this introduces Snape, who's going to be the antagonist and also probably most complicated character across all of the novels.
Most morally gray.
Yeah, and I say that he's the antagonist, even though like that Voldemort is like the big evil, is because he's like consistently the person who Harry finds himself in conflict with.
Yes.
Yeah. All the different yearly evils occur, but Snape is always there.
And always presumed to be somehow involved.
I think when we're done this, we should think about how Professor Snape is like portrayed over the series. But I think what's interesting in this book and in a microcosm this chapter is J.K. Rowling sets us up to dislike Snape, but doesn't give us any like actual reason to think he's anything but a prick. Yet we think he's a prick along with Harry. And then at the end of this book, and also at the end of the series, she flips it on us.
Well, I feel like she makes a very good attempt to flip it. However, so the thing is that the fact that he did one thing does not erase the fact that he did other things.
No, a character is not inherently good or bad. They're a collection of the things they have done. And I think that that's a very adult outcome from a children's series. But what I'm talking about more is I think this is like a early sign that J.K. Rowling is a really good mystery writer, more so than a fantasy writer, where she sets up all the clues to look like it's going to be Snape, but then when you look back on them, it's clear it was Quirrell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even right here, when you look at this in retrospective, the hook-nosed teacher looked past Quirrell's turban straight into Harry's eyes. So that means that the back of Quirrell's head was facing Harry. And now we know that Big Voldy was there. So that was what caused the pain, if it wasn't apparent to some of you, our gentle listeners.
And unlike the film, Harry and Snape don't have a long stare-off. We just see that Snape looks at him. And that's it. I do find it funny, though, that in this magic world where sleekeasy is a thing, apparently, like, clarifying shampoo isn't a thing.
I mean...
Also, is Snape's hair long in the book? It's described as greasy. Is it ever described as long?
I don't think so, but... Well, it is described as long in Snape's memory. Because it was touching the parchment.
And in
that's what I
the
remember.
film adaptation and the upcoming TV adaptation, they give him long or longish hair.
True, but well, I don't think that that Minalima can be used as a canon reference because Minalima is based on
The film.
the film.
Yeah. And in that one, he has long hair as
Yeah,
well.
this is longish hair.
Yeah, they made him look like a vampire in the Minalima version.
Kind of like a Nosferatu-ish. Mm-hmm. There are also formulas on the blackboard. Wow. What's K48?
I don't know, but this is an audio medium, Senya. So then we have the few notices, start of term notices that Dumbledore gives, and all will be important for this book. So
Even the one where no magic should be used between classes in the corridors?
yeah, because do you know what happens between classes at night? Someone attempts to have a duel.
Someone stands somebody up.
Yeah. Anyway, so first year students should know that the forest in the grounds is forbidden to all pupils. It's almost like it's called the Forbidden Forest.
For a reason.
Yeah. And that's where they're going to have detention.
In the Forbidden Forest where pupils should not go.
Don't do magic between classes. And it's not between in the way that we're thinking, but what happens between classes overnight is that Malfoy challenges Harry to a duel, then stands him up, hoping that Harry will get caught. A brilliant plan for an 11-year-old.
Actually, yeah, I concur.
And they're afraid to get caught by Mr. Filch, the caretaker. Quidditch trials will be held in the second week of term. Anyone interested in playing for the house team should contact Madam Hooch. Harry will be a player on the Gryffindor team.
Doesn't need a trial.
No, I also wonder when did Harry have his moment where he catches a Remembrall and McGonagall sees him and all that? Like, did the second week of term auditions happen and Madam Hooch just didn't find anybody? Or did she have somebody in mind and then have to tell them, sorry, I found an 11-year-old I think is better?
Oof.
Yeah.
That would hurt. That would hurt.
Mm-hmm. And then the most important one, the third floor corridor on the right-hand side is out of bounds to everyone who does not wish to die a very painful death.
It's very reassuring.
Mm-hmm. I heard that J.K. Rowling's writing is described as a juxtaposition of the ordinary and the extraordinary. And I can kind of see that here, where it's the announcements are mostly normal. It's hey guys, don't go to the forest. Don't fool around between classes. Sports tryouts are happening next week. Also, and then they're a little bit extraordinary because they're magic.
Yep.
But then they're really juxtaposed by this final announcement.
Don't go there or you'll die.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, what causes Harry to be oh, he's not serious, is he?
Serious?
But Percy here says again that it's so odd that Dumbledore didn't tell him, the prefect, why they shouldn't go to the corridor that is forbidden.
Mm-hmm. Then they're going to sing the school song, and this is a great line that after Dumbledore says that, Harry noticed the other teachers' smiles had become rather fixed.
All right.
I love this. First of all, Dumbledore knows they need subtitles. They need some words. A long golden ribbon flew out and it twisted itself into snake-like words. Great. Then the song comes on and it is...
Everyone pick their favorite tune.
Yeah, I just love that. They're singing at different tunes. It's perfect. Also, I like that the song isn't very serious.
It's not at all.
No. It's literally Hogwarts, Hoggy, Warty, Hogwarts. Teach us something, please. Whether we be old and bald or young with scabby knees, our heads could do with filling with some interesting stuff. For now they're bare and full of air, dead flies and bits of fluff. So teach us things worth knowing. Bring back what we forgot. Just do your best. We'll do the rest and learn until our brains all rot.
The original brain rot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I do love how the Weasley twins were singing to a very slow funeral march and Dumbledore was totally going with it. He was like, yeah, you do that. That's amazing. Cool. He's such a cool headmaster.
He is. I like that he enjoyed it. I also wonder, is this the same song it's always been and it was just in like Old English at one point?
Maybe. Who knows? And then I do love this line here, which I think is a little bit of foreshadowing. Music, he says, wiping his eyes. A magic beyond all we do here. Do you think it is a little bit of foreshadowing?
Was someone from Dumbledore's past a musician?
No. This is a foreshadowing to going past Fluffy.
Oh. No, I don't think so.
I think so.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree. It's really short, but I really appreciate the description of Hogwarts, and I really love the ideas that the people in the portraits can move through different portraits. I think that that's just great. Reading it in the book, watching it in the film, both times, I'm like, yeah, that's good.
That's amazing. Also, I do like how Harry saw that, but he was like, I'm literally too tired to care about that and to be in awe, to be surprised. I'm just, I don't care at this point.
And then we have Peeves the Poltergeist, which, so I don't know how you understand the term poltergeist. I understand it from like horror movies as a ghost that can move things.
So poltergeist is not a ghost.
Okay.
So the ghost is a residual from a person. Poltergeist never was a person. Poltergeist is a manifestation of like a collective energy. So you may think of Peeves as the manifestation of all the pranks and mischief and rule breaking that ever was performed at Hogwarts.
Mischief, like hooliganism?
Yes, mischief. Mischief.
So then we meet Peeves. We find out that the only person who he's afraid of is the Bloody Baron. This is foreshadowing. And we also know he likes to cause trouble.
Because who doesn't?
Then we have the fat lady who is the guardian of the Gryffindor dormitory and common room. And the password is Caput Draconis, which means dragon's head.
Dragon's head. I know that.
So Xenia's looking through the Minalima edition, having a good time.
Yep. Because right here, it is an interactive page where the portrait of the fat lady looks in different directions, and then you open it, and then there is a hole where you climb through.
So there's a line here that gives credit to the idea that there's only 5 students in the first year for like boys, and then maybe 4 or 5 for the girls, where Percy directed the girls through one door to their dormitory, singular.
Yes.
And the boys through another. So if it was multiple girls, it would be dormitories, but this is in the singular. So I think that I will take that as the strongest evidence so far. So in combination with us only knowing a few students.
Yes, I agree with that. The other thing that just came to my mind is that we never see the girl prefect for the year, and by all logic, she should be directing the girls to the girls' dormitory because Percy can't. We know that later we learn that there is a charm on the stairs to girls' dormitory that boys can't go up there. But yeah, it is described, like Percy is described as a singular prefect for the Gryffindor, where there should be a girl prefect as well.
So do you think that this is an error, or not an error, but like something that J.K. Rowling retconned later? Or do you think that it might be a certain amount of world building where like it implies that there's a dearth of students? Like
I think this is just an interesting fact that I noticed, but there is not much behind that. This is just a retcon.
Okay, yeah. It's like, do you remember when in A Game of Thrones, Robert Baratheon comes to Winterfell?
Yes.
You remember reading that chapter?
I believe so.
Yeah. Do you remember the feast?
The feast?
Yeah, where all the royal family and the Stark family walk up to the table in a dramatic fashion.
Yes.
Bran's not described, ever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's never been corrected. Later, the author had to retcon it where Bran's like, yeah, I remember the thing. I was there. And we're all like, okay, George, we get it. You had to retcon that. This also, the smaller amount of students makes more sense with how the dormitory looks in the films and how the common room looks in the film, because it's quite small.
Well, it is explained by the fact that those dormitories in the movies, at least, they're and not even in the tower, they're in the turrets. Mm-hmm. Is it the right word? Turret?
Yeah, turrets, yeah.
Turrets. So like this is why the room is circular, because it's a turret, right?
I also think it's interesting. We'll have to check this as we read forward, but I don't think Harry ever changes dormitories. Like, you don't go from a first-year dormitory to a second-year dormitory to a third-year dormitory, et cetera, et cetera. You seem to stay in the same one.
I guess so, yes. I'm also thinking about how, do they have washrooms and showers within the Gryffindor Tower?
They have to.
They have to.
Yeah.
Within the dormitory, I don't know.
Probably not within the dormitory, but in the Gryffindor Tower.
Yeah.
Well, we know the prefects have their own washroom, a very nice one.
Well, they have their own bathroom.
Sorry, bathroom. Yes.
Yes.
We have a Scabbers mention here where he's chewing the sheets.
And just looking behind me at my scarf.
So, listeners, we have 2 rats named Hammer and Sickle, and they're wonderful. And Senya left her scarf on top of the cage so they could always have something that smells like her. And they have chewed many a hole in it.
At this point, it's practically Swiss cheese.
Mm-hmm. So then we end the chapter with a dream. Now, in books, dreams always mean something. Reality, no, not necessarily. I'm wondering, though, is this a magical dream? Like, okay, Harry has dreams that are connected to Lord Voldemort, where he sees what Lord Voldemort sees. But Harry doesn't have prophetic dreams in general. I'm seeing if you're going to correct me on this.
So the only instance of Harry dreaming of something that is true and not being from Voldemort or Voldemort's part of Soul POV is the opening of the 4th book, when he's looking from the 3rd person at Frank Bryce.
Yeah. Which I believe is kind of wand waved away, as he can see that because of his connection with Voldemort.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But even though he doesn't see it through Voldemort's eyes.
It's not Voldemort's POV. Because in his dream, he can see when the chair turns and the fetus Voldy is revealed.
So I think that this is an abandoned form of magic, because dreams, like this type of dream, don't mean anything. Let me rephrase this. So this dream is very much set up as a way to tell us what's going to be the fears and antagonists of Harry. So he's wearing Professor Quirrell's turban, and it's talking to him, telling him that he should be in Slytherin. Then Malfoy is there laughing at him, and Snape is also laughing at him. And then there's a burst of green light, and Harry woke up. We have the Voldemort reference where, as we know as readers, that the turban hides Voldemort on Professor Quirrell's head. And we have Malfoy, who Harry doesn't like, and Snape, who Harry has just had not really an interaction with, but a pain with. And we have a reference to the green light, which we know comes from the killing curse. And then there's a line where the turban wants him to be in Slytherin. I don't understand why Voldemort would have any urge for him to be in Slytherin. So I think it must be a reference to, like, the Sorting Hat was magical, and it was telling him to be in Slytherin. Maybe Professor Quirrell's turban is magical as well. But I think it's also possible that this is like an abandoned bit of foreshadowing. Like, this is foreshadowing for something that J.K. Rowling decided not to do.
I feel like it's kind of both a magical dream and a regular dream, because everything you see that is in the dream, so our gentle listeners, dreams, when we are dreaming of something in real life from the point of view of people who study our psyche, is our brain processing the information that we have experienced previously. If it was an eventful day, this is how our brain kind of like dumps the information and processes it on a deeper level than when we are conscious. So everything that is mentioned in here, it all happened earlier than that day. And for an 11-year-old boy, this is a very eventful day. This is a once in a lifetime experience. And he has gone through a lot. So this could very well be just a regular dream, and his brain is just trying to kind of find a way to tie this all together and process all of this. This could very well be a not necessarily prophetic, but a dream with a meaning. There is another theory out there that the Sorting Hat felt the piece of Voldemort's soul inside Harry, therefore advising him to choose Slytherin.
Oh, this is a side note, but in the full cast audio that I have, they always pronounce it en français, Voldemort.
Voldemort.
Yeah.
Voldemort.
I'm like Voldemort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, speak English.
Elvis Judisor.
So the reason that I bring up that I think it like has something to do with foreshadowing is two pieces. First of all, Professor Quirrell's turban that's talking to him, that's very much lets us, the reader, know that that's going to be something that happens later, so that when it happens at the end, it doesn't feel like completely out of left field. Sports reference. The other reason why I think this dream was meant to be foreshadowing is like something that they recommend to starting writers is like dreams are a great way to put in foreshadowing.
Well, as I said before, as I said earlier before, you do this analysis, literary analysis very well. I'm more like in the universe. I'm more like inside the book. So I can't disagree with that.
So what it like tells the reader is the things that are going to be important is Professor Quirrell, Malfoy, Snape, and the contrast between what Harry's chosen and what he could have been in Slytherin. I'm inclined to think that this isn't a magic dream, and it's just J.K. Rowling using some writing advice that, like, put your foreshadowing in your dream. If it is a magic dream, it's a type of prophetic dream that Harry never has again.
I also want to show you the Quirrell's turban here, which is quite large, unlike in the movies. This is huge.
So she's pointing to the Minalima edition.
Yes.
And it looks very much kind of like if you guys know the cartoon or the old film, The Bride of Frankenstein, where she has that hair that sticks up a couple feet straight above her head. It looks like that.
So it's comically large.
So that was the chapter. Pretty quick. I liked it. It very much has the majority of the chapter takes place within the Great Hall and is about the sorting. And then there's just a little bit at the end to help us get to the next part of the story. Learn a bit about Gryffindor and move on. We've talked about the things that are inconsistent, but it felt magical still when I read it.
Of course it did.
Yeah, and it felt magical when I was a kid. Because when, like, the doors open to go into the Great Hall, like, I remember being like, oh my God, what's going to be in there?
And when you just said that, I imagined this scene from the movie, from the film, and the music from that moment started playing in my head. It's like, it's an immediate reaction. I read about it in Hogwarts history.
And I think it also helps introduce us to some new characters. So we meet Professor McGonagall, and we learn she's stern. And I think that that's not only true, but a great contrast to what we saw of her in the first chapter, the prologue.
Yep.
I don't know, is it chapter 1 or
it's chapter 1?
Oh, yeah. Chapter 1. So you see she's a different person with a teacher. You get to see Dumbledore, and he's a delightful mix of whimsy and horror beyond your imagine.
Yeah, I like that. I like that description. Yes.
You get to meet some of the other characters. We see some of the boys that Harry will be spending most of his time with. We see the other Gryffindor girls. Then we also meet like some of the older Gryffindors, particularly the Weasleys. We spend a bit more time with them. And we get our first introduction to what Hogwarts looks like. You know, what does a magic castle look like on the inside?
Not just that, but also a little bit of how it works on the inside, what you can expect, a little bit of that. And I feel like at this point, those bits and pieces are kind of enough, because if you are a child who is this book intended for, you're reading this book, are you really paying attention to all those little inconsistencies that we have noticed as adults of great age?
No.
No.
And like, just because some of the
Harry
characters...
doesn't either.
Well, yes. Just because some of the characters are never mentioned again doesn't mean that they don't exist. They just exist off page.
It's like, you know, in my brain, a lot of people who are not in contact with me consistently, they don't exist from my brain anymore.
I also wanted to add, so we learn about the houses, and just as a writing tool. So a lot of fantasy is done with like these huge cast of characters, particularly modern fantasy, or a single point of view. Like, there are other versions, but those are the two most dominant in popular fantasy. And what I enjoy about the house system from a writing perspective is J.K. Rowling just made it so much easier to write, because she's like, and there are other kids, and there's a reason we don't see them, but they exist if I need them to. But I don't have to like figure out exactly who they are and what their motivations are and what their lives are like. Like, she's making like paper characters that if she wants to, she can write a name on and give some attributes when they're needed later.
Yeah.
Like, who's that boy that Ginny dates in the 5th book? Michael something?
Michael Corner.
Yeah, he was a Ravenclaw, wasn't he?
Yes.
Oh, we found another Ravenclaw.
Yes.
Yeah.
He also was in Harry's year.
Yeah, but we don't see him here. Yeah. So because of this, J.K. Rowling has like characters she can create if she needs them. And also she has a reason not to write about every character. So I think like from a writing perspective, it's great. And then also from a reading perspective, there's value in it. Because like, if all of these characters were actually introduced and we knew all of them, like, this book would be so long for no reason.
This would be another Song of Ice and Fire.
Hey, all those characters are important.
Right. Before we close off this this episode, I want to remind you, people, that maybe this should be called a Comrade's Corner. So now that we are introduced to all 4 houses, I want to tell you guys what they are called in the great and mighty Russian language.
What is it, comrade? Tell me.
So Gryffindor had absolutely no changes. It is Gryffindor.
Just literally the word for griffin and door in Russian?
No, it's just Gryffindor.
Oh, okay.
It is just Gryffindor.
Okay, so it's literally like...
Gryffindor.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So for Slytherin, there was a minor change. So in Russian, it's less of a phonetic change and more of a, again, the literal names. So Slytherin in English associates with slithering, right? Just like a snake would. In Russian, it is Slytherin, which is associated with the word sleaze, which is mucus. So it is giving you this kind of like a slimy feeling. Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff suffered literal translation.
Okay.
So Ravenclaw was translated to Koktevran, which is Kogeć is a claw. Vran is a ye olde Slav word for Voron, which is a raven. And then Hufflepuff, again, is word for word half and puff, puffindui. So to blow.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, this is what happened to our favorite houses in Russian language.
Well, I think that makes sense. I give a lot of credit to these translators because Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff aren't that important to the plot.
I guess, yeah.
The 2 ones that are the most important of the plot are Gryffindor, where our main characters live, and Slytherin, where the evil wizards live.
I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Gryffindor. So we know it's a last name. Do we think it is a Gryffindor or is it a Gryffindor?
Well, 10 centuries ago, the nobility in England were pretty French. Because if you think about it, that's like right around the time or right after the time of the Norman conquest. So
10th century.
yeah. So the ruling class suddenly is en français, except beforehand, a lot of the ruling class would have also spoken French anyway. Because at this time and a bit afterwards, England actually controls most of France, like modern day France. So I can see that in the historical context of being Griffin d'Or.
Golden Griffin.
Yeah. But given that I'm sure there's a French word for griffin that is not used.
Could there be?
There probably is. Let's see our little invite
Google.
into the future. No, sorry. Our little box which tells us everything.
Griffon.
Okay.
En Griffon.
En griffon. Yeah, okay, so it could be French then. I like that idea.
Yeah.
And J.K. Rowling has a degree in French.
So maybe there is something there. Did we just discover something?
Is Houf le Pouf something?
Hop le Poof.
Yeah, let me use again the internet. What are the
But she's Helga, which is nodding at the Nordic roots.
Hogwarts houses in French?
Oui, oui, Canadien. Bienvenue au Canada.
Je ne p- Okay. In French, Hufflepuff has what we think is the most adorable sounding translation, becoming Pouf Soufflé.
Oh my God.
Interestingly, Ravenclaw is Serre d'Aigle, which is taken from Serre d'Aigle, which means eagle claw. Okay, fair enough. Slytherin becomes Serpentard, and Griffin is Gryffondor.
Gryffondor. Gryffondor. So it still could be Gryffondor. Mm-hmm. Golden Griffin.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe it is Golden Griffin.
I'd be interested to see what the origin is of Hufflepuff and Slytherin.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wonder if J.K. Rowling has any approved, like, the writing or the sources of how she chose these sort of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Is also like wizarding naming notion is not necessarily following any contemporary naming notion of the world.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. And
I have never met a person named Neville.
oh, and it's a common, or it was a common British last name. They had a famous Prime Minister, Neville Chamberlain, who was named that. I don't think it's common anymore, but like a lot of the names in this series are old.
I guess. So that's what I meant by the wizarding naming notions. They are either ye oldie or they have like family names. Like blacks all have some
Names
kind of
about the stars,
celestial names.
And even the more common Weasley names are all like names that can be easily found in royal families of the United Kingdom.
Yes.
William, Charlie, George, less Fred, but Fred was
Frederick. Yeah.
Frederick. That could be like a French or German name that was brought over.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Ronald, which literally means Ronald is of Old Norse origin, means ruler's counselor or mighty counselor.
Well, there's an.
It's kind of fitting.
I'm thinking the only Ronald I know in modern day is Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, but I don't know.
This is not even a name.
Yeah, this is his last name.
It's last name, not
Yeah,
first
but
name.
last name can be a first name.
Oh, Bob.
Yeah.
Bob. Sorry, guys. We were watching FIFA matches recently, and there is also David. Is he David James, whatever.
Yeah. He had two first names.
Two first names, yes.
But not instead of like two first names and a last name. No, his last name was also a first name.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. And then there is the Norwegian team player with whose last name is Bob.
Yeah. Love that.
We'll love that for him.
So I'm going to look into that, though, for our upcoming episodes. Did someone research what J.K. Rowling's inspiration was for these names? Has she said anything about it?
I am not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think we could go. There may be a lot of things on Harry Potter lexicon
To look into.
I will have to look into. I feel like I have to agree with Super Carlin Brothers on the fact that a spin-off about the founders of the Hogwarts could be a freaking great piece of media.
I think it would be great. And also, it doesn't have really any effect on modern,
Yeah.
like not modern, but like the era of Harry Potter. I think we've talked about it, not on the pod, but how doing a Marauders TV show, even though that's probably more in demand, would be really difficult and
Yes.
also could very easily get into the place that in order to make the Marauders show make sense, it kind of retcons things that we have from the Harry Potter books.
Yes. I feel like with the founders, it's just we know so little about them, and there's not that much demand for their characters to be like adopted by the fan base. And because we know with the Marauders fandom, they have developed their own fan fiction about the Marauders and have taken the characters further than I have seen any characters taken by the fandoms. It's just wow. There's a lot of things going on there. But founders, we know like the general idea about the founders of Hogwarts. We know who they were. We know that they had an idea. We know the outcome of that idea. We know that there was a falling out. We don't know much else.
Yeah. So there's a lot you could write in there and it wouldn't contradict things. But correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the video games that have come out about Harry Potter are set like significantly in the past from the main storyline.
Not significantly, but the Hogwarts legacy is the end of the 19th century, so 1890 something. There are a few games that are not following the main characters, but they are set in the same time, the Golden Trio time. And then there is this thing. Oh, I think this. I'm not going to talk about it because I think this is tied to the cursed child, which we don't talk about.
Okay, we don't talk about it. It's not real.
What is real is that this episode is coming to an end, and we thank thee for listening to us and for being with us and listening to our ramblings.
And you're welcome, because I'm sure we've made your day better.
Maybe even life.
So our next chapter is the Potions Master.
Who might it be? I don't know.
Who would know? It's such a mystery.
It's such a mystery.
Goodbye, dear listeners. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.